off with a small presentation, and then I'll definitely go ahead and pass it over to Richard, and then let's go ahead and hear his amazing story. I think that he definitely has a unique story to share. As you can see, he has a dojo right behind him. So it's going to be very, very awesome. Super excited. All right, guys. So welcome. This is Evolution of Leadership, Leadership Thursdays. And we're here to present to you one of our weekly events. Richard Gordon here has agreed to be one of our speakers, and he'll be speaking about leadership. And we're definitely excited to make that happen. So at Evolution of Leadership, our mission is to design the next generation of community leaders through our leadership events, workshops, and one-on-one leadership coachings. And we definitely just wanted to bring these events to everyone, especially in light of COVID-19. You know, we can't have the in-person meetings anymore, so it's really important to go ahead and shift gears and go ahead and make those pivots to business, organizations, or whatever that is. And hopefully these events are helping you all, you know, face the circumstances that we're going through right now. And it's bringing a shed of light of hope, especially since there's a lot of high-profile people that are here to talk about, you know, motivation, leadership, and all these topics. So with that being said, I did want to go ahead and iterate that, and Emmanuel will probably reiterate it later, but we will be sending out an event survey at the end of the meeting, just so whoever, you know, enjoys the meeting, or I'm sure you will not enjoy it, but definitely we'll have the surveys ready for you to go ahead and fill out, and we're going to take your consideration seriously to see how we can further improve our events. So that's something to look out for. And we'll also have our contact information up for all of you as well at the end of the event if you want to follow up via Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Gmail, or even LinkedIn. So thank you all so much for being a part of this. We will be having some people join us throughout the time, and definitely want to go ahead and pass it over to Richard Gordon to share a little bit about his story. And again, Richard, we'll go ahead and send this video to you out after the event for you to also watch as well.
Appreciate that. And thank you for having me. So I am Richard E. Gordon. I am a career martial artist. So I spent the past 40 years in the martial arts, training and teaching. I owned and operated schools, dojos in North Carolina on the East Coast, and did that for 30 years. And the focus started out as a physical. You know, I was a young guy, so I was intrigued like everybody by the physical, and then it began to evolve into the full capacity of what martial arts is. And you know, the more and more movies are now exposing that. We're seeing that there's a lot more to it than the physical, the mental, the health, the flexibility. And so that's what has kept me in it for 40 years. And with that, I segued into the business world. I've owned businesses. I do global security. I've provided high-end security for nuclear facilities, military installations, you know, lots of high-profile places, providing security and also having to understand the business aspect. So with that, I created CEO Dojo to bring the benefits of the martial arts, the benefits of my business skill, to help people, young and old alike, people who want and need leadership skills. And to start, I think everybody needs leadership skills, whether you're in business, whether you're in school, because I think you need to lead your own life, you need to lead your family, your community, your home. I think we all have a responsibility. And I think now it's more clear, you know, that we need to be able to be leaders. And that's why I appreciate you guys in this group, because you're taking the lead. You know, so everybody gets confused. They think a leader has to be this, you know, thousands of people are super dynamic. And yes, you can grow to that, but it starts at grassroots efforts. It starts at leading in your college. It starts at leading amongst your peers. It starts at leading possibly the youth in your neighborhood. So there's always ways to jump into that leadership capacity. And the funny thing is, sometimes people always think leadership is glamorous. And once you truly get into leadership, you realize it's a lot of rolling up your sleeves. There's not a lot of glamour. You know, there's a lot of times you're doing just basic mundane tasks. And so I'll kind of segue onto that, because I've been doing a lot of talking with people about mindset. You know, that's what leadership, a big aspect of it is mindset. Everybody understands that. Everybody knows the concept mindset. But it's kind of an escape. People say, oh, change your mindset. Have a good mindset. Well, I'm not doing well in college. Well, change your mindset. You know, that's great. But what does that actually mean? You know, it's like, have a better attitude, you know, buy cheap, sell high, you know, buy stocks when they're low and sell them when they're high. Like, that's true, but it's not going to do you any good in life. So I delve into the aspect of, okay, what does that actually mean, mindset? What can we do to have a good mindset? What can we do to change our mindset? What can we do to benefit from mindset? And so I looked at it, I'm like, okay, how does this actually work? And so what I look at is you can take two people, we'll use the college level for an example, or equate it to business as well. Yeah, you have two people that start out and they both have equal skills. You know, they're both doing the same thing, the same major, they're in the same business, and they're doing their thing. But oftentimes, even though we're in college, and you can attest to this with amongst your peers, a lot of people don't have a specific goal. You know, the goal is to go to college and show up, and then that's it, bam. Okay, well, what are you doing? What are you learning? How are you projecting? Are you taking advantage of leadership clubs? Are you being involved in groups? No, I'm just going to college. Like they're going to, you know, sponge, everything's going to come to them. So that's one portion of the mindset. The other mindset is the person that goes and they're going to get the best of college. You know, whether you're into fraternities, sororities, again, there could be some good there. So that's your road. That's your goal, to be part of that organization. Or you start a leadership group, or you get involved in the church, or you get involved. The college is a beautiful microcosm for the world because there's so many organizations. You know, I used to love walking through the campuses on, like, you know, opening days with all the tables out there. And there's like the chess club and the AV club and the pottery club and the photography club. And the list is endless. But what it says is that you have a focus. You know, you're going to have a goal. Your goal is to go through college and network, maximize, develop your skills, possibly join the photography club and become a leader, or become a leader by being a good member. You know, so you don't always have to be the leader. There's usually only 1-2 leaders. So people think, well, I don't really want to be the leader. And, well, be a leader by being a great student, by being a great club member, by being a great secretary, by being a great assistant. You know, the components of an organization or company or life, there are so many people that make this thing go. It's not just the person that you see in front or the person who speaks well. You know, so just because you're not a great speaker or you don't enjoy it, you can have a very key role. You know, it's just like in music. The background singers are super phenomenal, and a lot of them can be front singers, but talent-wise, but that's not their goal. They're behind the scenes. They enjoy that part of it. They don't want to be in the front. They don't want the scrutiny. They don't want the pressure. Because there's a big difference when you're in the number one seat, and that's fine, but that's your goal. So if you focus with people on your mindset, okay, focus on the goal. Have a goal. Be specific in what your goal is, what you want to get out of your college experience, what you want to get out of your business. Some people just want to make money. Nothing wrong with that. There's a debate that goes back and forth. People are like, oh, I don't want money. I'm a kind human being. I want to do from the heart. That's a goal too, but you can't knock people who want to get into business and make money. You know, that's the way the world has worked since the beginning of time. Businesses generate money. Money generates income. And guess what? When you're making a lot of money, I'm going to be spending it to you people in this you know, on the Zoom. So you're happy that I'm making money too, because you got a service and I'm out there spending my money. And if people are waiting tables, I'm spending money and giving tips. So there's that cycle. You can be good with your money. You know, it's not a bad thing. You know, it's not the love of money. You know, it's the corruption that you do with the money. You know, everybody kind of gets that confused sometimes. So you can do a lot of good with money, but that can be a specific goal. Maybe you're not trying to save the world. You're not trying to help people. You're not trying to sell a potion or a lotion that's going to cure people. You just want to sell a gadget to make money. And online nowadays, you can do that. You can go on there and sell nuts and bolts, and you can sell hundreds of thousands of nuts and bolts. You know, I don't want to say I think get the nuts and bolts people, but I don't really think you're going to be changing the world, right? You know, you're not going to have a whole lot of world changing from nuts and bolts. You know, you're not going to go into the next party and the next social and say, hey, I provide nuts and bolts to the world. And then the other guy says, well, I spend time over in Cambodia and I'm feeding people. It's like, yeah, but I'm the number one nuts and bolts guy in Southeast Asia. So again, it doesn't have as much pop, but their goals are different. So again, that's how it comes back to the be you for you we discussed last time. You have to settle on a goal that's you. You know, college has so many different majors, so many different facets of a major. You can go into psychology and become a psychologist. You can become a teacher. You can just use it to expand your knowledge to help people, or you can use it in your business. You know, psychology is a major part of dealing with people and being in business and interacting and marketing and understanding buying trends. There's lots of psychology involved in that. So maybe you want to do that route. So there's lots of different facets that you can do. So have the goal that's specific to you. Be you for you. So that's the focus. That's the goal. Then that becomes the mindset. So if you don't have that, how do you have a mindset? You don't. You're just blowing in the breeze. You're not anchored. You're not focused on where you're going. So when someone says have a good mindset, change your mindset, then well, what am I changing it to? You know, am I going to be happy all the time? So that's like a discussion. You say, oh, your mindset is be happy. Yeah, that's okay too. But you have to be happy within some sort of parameters. You have to be happy within some sort of goal, within some sort of bigger picture. So the focus and the goals have steps to them. And then, you know, again, from the first day you started college to your first semester, things were completely different. You saw the world different, especially a lot of people hadn't been away from home. First time they're living away from home. First time they're independent. First time they're using money and credit cards, lots of things. You know, you see that in all levels of college. So when you stepped into the campus in September, you're completely different come December. Come May, you're different. Now with this transition, this whole new year now, you might be first, second, third year. Guess what? This is a whole new college thing coming at you quick. Online, somewhat online, in person, not in person, this, that, this restriction, the library's closed, this is restricted, you can't go in the gym, you can't go here, you can't go. So now you are learning and having to refocus and readapt your goals and look at life a whole lot differently. So that's the mindset. So your goal didn't change, but we're faced with obstacles. The key is to not look at it as an obstacle. Just look at it as part of the journey. Your goal is to complete college. Your goal is to get experience. Your goal is to get to a position where you can be successful in life, go in the corporate world, go into your own business, become a leader in your community. This has nothing to do with that. This is just a part of the journey. You'll be telling the tale 2 years from now. Hey, you remember back in 2020 when we couldn't go to class? Wow, you remember this? You remember how inconvenient? Remember we couldn't go to the gym? Remember we couldn't go swimming? Remember we couldn't do this? And it's just going to be part of your story if you have the right mindset. If you don't, this, as you know, and you have people, unfortunately, we all do, and I work with a lot of people, that this is almost like the end of the world to them. And a lot of people, it is affecting them because they lost their jobs. There's no work. Go home. We don't have any work for you. They worked in the public. Hotels are closed. Restaurants are closed. Lots of public interaction businesses are closed. So it's truly affecting them dollars and cents. You know, so I coach people like that as well. The goal is to find a job that has survived all of these restrictions. And they're out there. You know, it might not be easy, but you have to switch your mindset. But if your goal is to make money and your goal is to provide for yourself and your family, if you have it, then you stick with that. Don't come to work tomorrow because the hotel's closed. Okay, mindset. I need to get income. Hotels aren't hiring. Who's hiring? Everybody sees what? How many package deliveries a day in your area? I'm sure in the college you're getting thousands, right? You're in the college neighborhoods, you're getting people ordering all kinds of stuff. So that trucks are going, truck delivery, food delivery. And my son's out of college and he's out there making good money in the world, but everybody needs some extra money. He's got a baby on the way. He's delivering food, making killer money because people are home ordering food. And the upcharges, again, I'm sure you guys have experience, the upcharge is pretty steep. So he gets percentages, plus he gets tips. He's making some good money. Segway. He's a computer programmer. So it's not like he's lacking skill. And again, it comes to pride and focus. His focus is he wants money for his family. So people might look at him and say, oh, he's a lowly delivery guy, which is ridiculous in the first place. If you're making a living, then you're doing the right thing. But we know how people think. You know, we know how people focus. So again, he doesn't focus on that because his goal is to make extra money to provide for his family and his new baby. Pretty simple. That's the mindset. If he doesn't have that mindset, he's like, I can't do that. I can't go work in Walmart. I can't stock shelves. I can't do this. Why not? I get it. But if your mindset's right, Walmart pays. It's going to provide for you and your family in the interim. You don't have to stay there. Just like in college. Not everybody can afford to go to college for 4 years straight. Most people work. My cousin had a scholarship to Yale, full scholarship. Requirement was he had to work. So people aren't hiring the guy that's at Yale at most jobs. What do they want him for? They know he's not going to stick around. And he probably wasn't all that great at working at fast food either. You know, he's beyond that. So he'd have to get some basic jobs and kind of usually lie his way that he wasn't going to school, he wasn't going back to school. So people would take a chance on him. But he had to work. They said, you know, you got your scholarship, but you need to work to be a productive member of society. So again, his goal, his focus, his mindset was that he was going to do that so he can get his education, so he can get a job, so he can go out in a career. So those are the important elements, you know. So it's complicated, but it's simple all the same. So leadership comes down to the right mindset. You know, people always debate what makes a good leader, what makes, you know, doesn't make a good leader. It all comes down to mindset, because you see lots of leaders have skills. You know, they have an education, they have credentials, and they face each other, or throughout history, you see great battles, and one person wins and one person becomes triumphant. So what is the deciding factor? And that's what I always look at. You know, so if you like sports, same thing. What is the determining factor, and what is consistent? And that becomes the mindset. The mindset is focusing on the goal. You know, Tom Brady's focused on winning the Super Bowl. You know, whether you like him or not, we gotta acknowledge that the man's focused on winning Super Bowls. He gets it done. He's had obstacles, he's had injuries, he's had players, he's had conflicts, he's had legal issues, he's had sanctions, he's had all of the things that life has to offer. But he didn't use them as an excuse or as roadblocks. They were just part of his journey to reach his goal. So his mindset on day one is what? To win the Super Bowl. We know for sure not everybody that suits up and plays football or plays sports or goes to college has the desire to win the Super Bowl in their desired field. Not everybody that goes to college has the desire to be a corporate executive. Not everybody that goes to college has the desire or goal to be a company owner. So how are they going to do it? They might get lucky and stumble into it, right? But that's not how life works. So therefore, their mindset isn't set on becoming a business owner. And they don't have the tools to do it. They might have the skill. There's a lot of people that can be very successful at running a business. There's lots of things that people have, but they just don't have the mindset to be successful at it. Same concept. Does the best person always win? You know, does the best person always get the job? Yeah, we all know that. You see that. There's some people like you always think, and again, you try not to judge people, but when somebody's really displaying a lack of ability in their job, you're like, how did they get that job? Like, how? The simple answer is they were focused. They were focused to be a manager. They took the steps to become a manager. The person who maybe had some more skills, was more talented, and had better customer relations, they didn't take the exam to go to the next level. They didn't take the training courses to go to the next level. They didn't put in their application to go to the next level. So therefore, that leadership skill didn't come to fruition because they didn't set the goal and they didn't have the focus. So that's the advice I give anytime I coach somebody. Set your goal based on you. That's the first start. You know, again, you're all in college, you're all young. And again, you can be a little outline vague, you know, and again, I always tell people like, okay, well, do you want to work with people, or do you want to work, say, like in a spot like accounting where you don't work directly with people? You know, you can kind of narrow it down because it's hard at 19 and 18 to figure out exactly what you want to do. Exactly. Some people can, and I think they're blessed because not many people I know started out in high school, picked a major, went to college, and then bam, that's their career. You know, there's a handful, but most people know. It's just kind of an evolution of trying to try things, figure it out. Okay, well, let's try engineering. No, I don't like engineering. It's too impersonal. It's too, you know, stoic. I don't like that. I want to go into health and fitness, and I don't like that. There's too much science. It's not really working with the people. Let me go into be a physical therapist. So all of that is a line that's similar based on how the person's character is, based on be you for you. And they've come to the evolution that they're best working truly hands-on to be a massage therapist or a chiropractor. So that's how you have to look at your goals as you evolve. You know, do you want to go into business? Some people know that real young. Some people at 10 years old are selling lemonade and newspapers and selling candy to the kids in school, and you know, all kinds of, you know, they call it the side hustle. You know, people got their hustle going on. So there's always that hustle, but figure out what it is exactly, then start to do your focus. That's the mindset. And without that, the mindset is non-existent. So I always laugh when people are like, oh, mindset, change the mindset. There's a lot of foundation that has to be there before you can bring a mindset into the equation. It's like you work with anybody. Let's just say you bring someone into your group and you try to talk to them about leadership and they have no concept, they have no preconceived notion. How are you going to give them the principles of leading a company or leading a group, get their mindset right? Well, there's no mindset to begin with. It's a clean slate. So the mindset is a kind of later evolution. And I think a lot of times people try to skip that step. You know, same thing going to college. You step into college, you might have taken college prep classes. You did the tour of the college. Did that prepare you on day one? Were you really, truly prepared for all that came your way? Once you start going from class to class and meeting people and, you know, seeing girls and people and distractions and cars and, you know, drinking and all the things that go on in this new life, did that prepare you for it? And the answer is absolutely not. You know, and some people, as you know, your peers that you've seen, they succumb to this. They get pulled aside from an actual goal because now they're hanging out. Hey, you got to go to class. No, I'm good. I'm hanging. We got class in the morning. You shouldn't stay out so late. No, I'm good. So what's their mindset? You're not going to get their mindset right because their mindset's on college is a fun place. College is a party time. You know, I'll buckle down in senior year, right? You've heard that. That's always a very comical kind of a mindset. Oh, my senior year, I'll get straight A's, and then, you know, that's what the company will look at. Who told you that? You're developing bad habits, and you're developing a bad mindset. So mindset is the little things as we go, as you continue to walk across and all the little things you do, like committing to come to a meeting like this, committing to build each other up, committing to help each other. That's the little steps that become big steps. And that's the people that will truly become the leaders. That's the people when this college thing is done, when this covert is you know, open again, this is the people that are going to come out stronger. And the people who have the mindset to build upon and the mindset to get through a crisis like this. Because then the next crisis that comes, you'll be like, yeah, I remember back in 2020, I remember 10 years ago when I was in college. I remember when I first started my business, there was the crash. You know, you can go back in history, 2008, you know, stock market crash, real estate crash. Everybody's got their kind of, you know, banner years. But it's part of the process if you have the right mindset that that's just part of your life's journey to get to the goal. So that's the true mindset. So any questions on that? Anything, guys? Good.
So my question is, out of like practicality, how do you sit down with someone and figure out what direction they should head, where their focus should be? How do you implement that?
Absolutely. Great question. And that's the crux of all this. I'm glad you brought that up. So a couple of key words is what they want. You know, so again, it comes back to the conversation I have is always about them. And it usually goes with a basic conversation. It goes with likes. It goes with what you don't like. Say, you know, simple conversation. Do you want to do something like law enforcement? And then people are like this, right? So, you know, you can segue away from that. So you just kind of do like a little basic, you know, sort of like an allergy test. If anybody's ever had an allergy test, they kind of just test a few different things. And so once you do a little basic questions, like, do you want to go into like anything in the medical profession? And then people will say, no desire. So we put that aside. So it's kind of a process of elimination is the best way to do it because, yeah, at a young age, you don't know. And then maybe we might have a couple of things. We might say, well, I'm into computers, but I would like to do something medical, right? What do I got there? Medical computers. Lots of medical technology in the computers in the medical world. So now we can gear you towards medical technology. And then I recommend doing like an internship, taking a course, joining a club, finding out someone that, again, that's why a group and a network works. Hey, anybody in this group, do you know anybody that is, does medical technology? Someone in the group might know somebody. You do like a, kind of shadowing, and then you can get an insight and say, this is what I thought it was. I like it. This is not what I like. Someone might be interested in law. Get them caught up with and again, on college campus, there's lots of law groups. I used to do They had a teen court back in North Carolina. They had a teen court, and it was actually pretty cool because kids would get in trouble up to the age of 18. And if it was a nonviolent offense, they would send them to what they call teen court, which had a real judge, a real bona fide judge. But then they had the teens who had been in trouble before. They would have to serve as the DA, the prosecuting attorneys, the defense attorneys, the bailiffs, and support this. And then the cases would be judged on kids who committed an offense. It might be something like, one instance, the kid started a fire in a waste paper basket outside school. Stupid stuff. The other kid pulled the fire alarm. So just like stupid kid things that were criminal. So they took them to this teen court. What that does is it takes these kids and gives them exposure to the court system, from being a lawyer to being a prosecutor. Perfect example to see if it's something that they're interested in. So yeah, it's trial and error, and just kind of personality. Too, is I always go indoor, outdoor. You want to be outside? Do you want to be like a forest ranger? Do you want to be something like a mountain climber instructor? Do you want to be a ski instructor? The beauty is once you start exploring, there's so many careers. You can open up a business being, have you and 3 of your buddies be ski instructors. I had a friend that grew up in Colorado, and from high school, him and his buddies had a little instructor school, and it was the 3 of them, teenagers, and they were instructing people for big money because they were good at skiing and they knew how to run a business. So not everybody wants to spend their time up on the ski slopes, but if you do, guess what? That's a pretty good gig. So you can kind of find those things out. Do you want to spend your time on the beach? There are certain things you could do on the beach. So it's always just kind of looking at the elements. Do you want to be in technical? I don't mind technical. Well, my wife is a computer programmer. My son's a computer programmer. They program games. Doesn't interest me at all. I like it. I love the concept, but I have no desire to sit there and program computers all day. It's just not my brain. It's not my personality. I'd be like climbing the wall. So I could push that aside on my list. Maybe do you like numbers? You can be an accountant. You can open an accountant business. So you got twofold. So you can structure the job to corporate, be a corporate accountant, medical technical accountant, or you can do your own business, set up your own accounting firm, set up your own medical technology. So that becomes part of it as well. Do you have the mindset, the tenacity to be an entrepreneur? Because it takes tenacity. And again, you've seen that as leaders. Leaders are not easy. Getting people together, getting people to get on a call, getting people to, respond, reply. It's a lot of work. I had a buddy that we had a basketball league, and it was like, I think we paid like $50, give or take, like membership each. We paid it each week, and then that was gym fees and paying and all that. And so it was like, 10, 15 of us on the team. And he would literally, and we're grown men, and everybody was pretty much making good money, but he would have to chase everybody around for their $50 like every week. And it's like, that's a headache, so that's a leader position, but that's a headache. Like, who wants to chase people? It's like, sure. And I always I gave him cash. Every time I said, here's your money. Like, he doesn't need to chase me. He's just the holder. So again, great question. And so, yeah, just focus what you like. Focus on, do you want to do it for a living? You might like to take pictures, but maybe you don't want to be a photographer for a living because you want to enjoy it. You want it to be your hobby. You want to go out and have fun taking pictures. You don't want to be stuck taking pictures of the bride and groom and the mother-in-law and, all of that because there's too much stress in that. You might like doing hair. You might be like a makeup artist. You have a nephew that's a makeup artist, and he loves that. And so he's done that as a living. He does it for celebrities and stars in New York City. So find what you like, find what you enjoy, in a broader sense. You like to work indoors, you like to work outdoors, you like to work with people. And again, be honest, because people always give the pat answer. I always love this one, like the guy's dating a girl or the girl, meeting the girl's parents for the first time. Oh, how are you today, Junior? You're in college? Yes, sir. What are you majoring in? I'm pre-med. Really? Right? That's a great answer. Dads like to hear that. But is he really going to medical school? Come on. So it's just kind of a pat answer that people give, and so a lot of times I'll ask people, what's your major? Marketing. Okay. What aspect of marketing do you like? I don't know. I just want to do marketing. Or they say, business admin. Again, nothing wrong with these pursuits, but I go the surface below because that's how you truly find out what someone wants. So you're going for business admin. Okay, well, what are you going to do with that? What's your goal with that? What kind of job do you want? Do you want to do what? Because they're just being influenced by society. because they don't have a clear goal yet. They don't have a clear focus. So there's nothing wrong with having a declared major and saying, yeah, I'm going to be a school teacher. Yeah, that's admirable. But is that really what you want to do? Is that really your goal? And is it really, do you want to spend your time teaching kids? And not everybody does. I had a martial arts instructor, young guy came to me, he was a kid, so I trained him up with all of the leadership skills and gave him the skills to run a martial arts school. And so as he was progressing, I would put him up in front of the whole class. We had like 30 people average per class, almost like your aerobic class if you're not familiar with the martial arts setup, just like any kind of gym class. And so he'd get up in front of 30 people. He was outgoing, very well spoken. He'd get up in front of 30 people and he looked the most uncomfortable, the most awkward. His classes were probably as boring as you can get. I think he bored himself. And so I let him do this for a little bit to watch. And then I pulled him back and I realized that that's not his strength, that I was kind of pushing him into something that he was not suited for. So what I figured is I kind of, again, tweaked it that he worked best with 2 to 3 people. So I'd take 2 or 3 people out of class and I say, okay, you go in the back and you work with Instructor Nemo. He was the king of that because he felt comfortable with 2 or 3 people. It was his zone. And he related. He didn't feel overwhelmed. He felt like he can communicate. He felt like he can get effective messages to them. And so that's where we kept him. And he did very well. So it benefited him. It benefited me because it's been in the program. And the people loved that personal time with him. So I could have consisted that he teach classes because this is the thing to do. You must fill this obligation. But what would that have accomplished other than crushing his spirit? So to truly be you for you, he had no desire to teach a full class. And there's nothing wrong with that. But again, luckily he didn't think, he did at first think he was obligated to do it and he didn't want to disappoint me. And so we conversed that they're not disappointing me at all. I want to do what's best for you. But a lot of people will get sucked into roles and sucked into doing what they think society wants. I had a young lady that I coached. She told me, she was actually working in the hotel industry and I was helping her get into her own business, but she had told me that she had been graduated nursing school. And I was like, totally shocked. I was like, I didn't know that. I didn't even anticipate that. And she says, yeah. I said, well, what happened? She said, well, I went through school, kind of went through all the trials, classes, and then I started working in a hospital. And she says, I don't like blood. I'm like, wow, you didn't figure that out somewhere along the way? And so again, I kind of knew the answer to the next question. I said, well, what made you go in to be a nurse? Filipino, mom's a nurse, dad's a nurse, aunt's a nurse, uncle's a nurse, sister's a nurse, grandparents a nurse. So literally the whole family has a tradition of hospital work. So she felt obligated, which is understandable. Everybody understands pressure and family pressure and, wanting to please. So she was wanting to please. So she went as far as, graduating nursing school and realized that she just couldn't do it. She just couldn't stand the blood. It was overwhelming to her, made her sick physically, emotionally. She was just out of sorts. And as a young girl, she was like 21 and she was like a wreck. So things like that happen where someone goes along a path. Again, that's the be you for you because it definitely was not her choice. So you have to stop along the way and say, is this my choice? Or is it still my choice? You might become a junior, you might become a senior, and your major, your path, all of a sudden changes. You think, well, I don't really want to do that anymore. For whatever reason, you don't have to justify it. People feel, well, I have to justify that I'm not going to law school anymore. Why? Why? You're entitled to decide your future, and you could change your mind at first year, second year, third year. I know people that have gone to law school and changed their mind. I have a friend that got their law degree and decided they didn't want to practice law. So it didn't hurt them because they're well educated and they learned a lot of, historical facts, arguments, rhetoric, comparison, lots of great skills going to law school. So, very expensive lessons if you're not going to capitalize on practicing law. But yeah, you can change any which way you want. So does that help answer your question?
That answers it really well. It brings up ideas into my head even more. But I want to allow others to speak as well. But if you have time, I would have a follow-up as well.
Yeah, just to clarify, the beauty of this is such a broad topic and there's a variety of people. So I'll be available. You can find me on, Facebook. You'll put up my information. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm more than happy to converse. And especially once you hear, then because again, if you don't know the question to ask, then you can't get the answer. So it's like people always like people that are not great instructors, like I'll come in and always tell me like, oh, you have any questions? You have any questions? I'm like, you didn't present anything to me that I would have a question about. So how am I going to have questions? You're like, the questions come after, and they come later because you're processing this. Different things will resonate with different people, and you say, wow, this applies to me. So yeah, the follow-up is essential. So yeah, I'll be available. Like I said, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, and you'll definitely love to have dialogue with you and just help you and guide you. But yeah, it should start raising questions because that's how you get answers. And you have to ask yourself questions. You ask yourself these questions: is this what I want? That should be the paramount question. What do I want to do? You might want to be a motocross bike rider. Like there's so many careers out there. Like when people say, "Oh, I'm stuck," or I'm restricted. I get it. You need to do something to make money. So there's no confusion. You need to come out of the gate, especially if you're getting college loans and you're living on borrowed time. You need to generate income. So that there's no confusion. You get a job, if that's the case, or to start your business. And then you use your downtime, you work 9 to 5, then 6 o'clock, you're doing your thing. You're taking pictures, you're trying to start up your business, you're networking, you're doing your thing until you can segue. But you should be asking yourself questions. And then some people fit nicely into the corporate world. They get into the corporate world and they say, hey, I want to go to the next level. I want to be a supervisor. I want to be a manager. I want to be a regional manager. I want to be a section manager. That's great too. That's not for me to say. So again, it's easy to say you need to be an entrepreneur. A lot of people think that, oh, if you're not an entrepreneur, then you're like cattle. I don't think that at all. That's absurd. There's no like this side, that side. We're all in this game together. The corporate world makes the machine go from that end. Entrepreneurs make the machine go from this end. And we need people on both sides to make this machine go. Not everybody could leave the corporate world and become entrepreneurs tomorrow. And not everybody can leave the entrepreneurs and become corporate tomorrow. So to have that conversation is almost ridiculous, but people do. And I'm sure you've heard that all the time. Oh, you got to be an entrepreneur. You got to work for yourself. You got to be your own man. You got to be your own woman. You got to be your own person. You got to be your own. Yeah, if that's what works for you. Nothing wrong with having a good corporate job. Pay, benefits, and then you can do your own side gig. I know plenty of people that work in the corporate world and they do photography or they do woodwork, or I know a guy that has a landscaping company on the side. So that's kind of like they have the best of both worlds. So they're not relying on the imbalance of the corporate world where there's terminations and companies come and go. If that happens, then he can rely on his landscaping business. Or just like now, like people who are able, they call pivot. So you hear the term a lot as pivot. If people are in positions now where they can pivot, then they're able to say, okay, well, this business dried up, the restaurant business, which is not doing well at all, bars not doing well at all. So if the bar owners have another business, they have property, they have some sort of service, then they could make their money elsewhere for now. I'm in the global security world, so that's been booming. There's been no slowdown, as you can imagine. We've made lots of provisions in corporate buildings to keep it shut down, locking doors, setting up security to check temperatures. So that's been very viable. We haven't missed a beat. I've actually been working more because there's a lot of different changes going on in the structure of a corporate world, as you can imagine. So yeah, you just have to pivot. And the pivot again, goal, your ultimate goal. That's what you have to focus on. And then you can fill in what you want to be. Some people are like, I need to be an entrepreneur or else I'm going to die. That's fine. Then that's your ultimate goal. Other people, I want to be a regional manager or I'm going to die. And that's your goal. So that's fine. And then from there, you can figure out, and I work with people to help them figure out how to get there, what the path is. So if you want to go to corporate, because I've climbed in the corporate world as well. It's difficult if you don't have, it's impossible if you don't have a goal. And it's difficult if you have a goal because there's lots of competition, there's lots of factors. It's just like if you go in for an interview, I'm sure you've all been into interviews, and the way the interview process works, I've interviewed thousands of people. The way the interview process works is somebody usually screens, magnitude of applications, depending on the job, 50, 100 or more. they get weeded down based on who has the requirements. So when they come to me as the interview and the interviewing panel, there's 5 people whose applications are literally exactly the same. Let's just say 4 years of college, 2 years of accounting, 1 year as account supervisor. And these are the 5 applications in front of me, and they're all the same because they meet the criteria for this particular job, say it's an accounting job. So then there has to be that factor. What's going to make one person stand out above the other? And so at that point, it doesn't become skill. Skill is really negated because all 5 of you have the same skill set. So what becomes a deciding factor? And for me, it becomes the goal, the focus. The focus leads to confidence. That's the next tier of this, is that when you have a focus, you have a confidence. So when you're running a meeting and you're the leader of this meeting and you have a focus that you're going to get everybody in order and you're going to get this thing started on time and you're going to make sure everybody is in their seat and paying attention, that's the confidence that comes across. And that supplements the skill set. So do I want someone that has skill with no confidence? I think that's a simple answer for everybody. And how do you tell that? You tell that by a person's actions, their convictions, their focus on their goal. So when you sit down and you interview someone, you say, why do you want this job? And again, I don't usually ask it in that plain of a question because that's like someone can give you such a fake answer. Well, I would like this job because I am very much into numbers and I want to fulfill myself as an accountant for this corporation. It's like, yeah, bullshit. Next. So you don't want to do a pat question to get a pat answer. You kind of phrase it a little bit differently, and then you'll get to the confidence. You'll get to the focus, because you can't have confidence without a focus and without a goal. That becomes where you're looking at pompous and arrogant. So people always wonder the difference between the words. Confidence, you could back it up. Everybody understands that philosophy of it, and that's the truth of it. So you're not being pompous or egotistical or arrogant if you back it up. Because you say, hey, I can perform. I could turn your company around. I could make you money. I could fix this. I can give you the guidance. That's confidence. That only comes through a goal and a focus. Hence, mindset. So when I sit someone down and interview them, I want to make sure they have the right mindset. And the right mindset means that they're willing to fit into the culture by doing what it takes. The same thing with a meeting in a group like this. If you have someone in this group that's uncooperative, they just don't want to get with the flow. Doesn't matter, right, how intelligent they are. Doesn't matter how much skill set they have. It doesn't matter if they bring cool brownies to every meeting, right? They're just not going to work. They're going to be a rub. They're going to cause that rub to everybody else. So there needs to be, again, it comes back to that whole focus, confidence, mindset. And that's the person who's going to fit in. So when you go into business, you go into the corporate world, you go into college, you have to have the right mindset. Same thing when you sit in class. Your right mindset is going to help you learn. If you go there and you think, oh, this class is awful. I can't believe I got to take, English writing 101. I could write. I'm the king of writing. I write my girlfriend letters all the time and she loves them. What kind of student are you going to be? You're not going to be a good student. And the teacher is not going to get a good energy from you. She's not going to get a good vibe from you. And you just kind of stop the process of teaching and learning. And then you're going to blame the teacher because she didn't sufficiently teach you. She didn't sufficiently train you. You get a bad grade. So that's the mindset cycle. You went in there with the wrong mindset. So a true master, a true learned person is always the student. So I don't care if I've learned something 1,000 times. I don't care if I've been taught, I've taught it 1,000 times. If I'm, for whatever reason, going to go in the class and sit there because I need it for a requirement, I will be a good student. And that's having the right mindset to show the teacher respect, to learn what they're teaching. And when you flip the higher learning and you flip it back, you kind of might see things a little bit differently, one, or two, you might learn things that you didn't really learn the first time. So it's always a welcome experience. I've been talking to a lot of my peers. I've been doing this thing called knowledge is power. And I was exploring that aspect as well, because that's part of the mindset equation. Is knowledge enough? If you have knowledge, you know it's power. So with the abundance of knowledge, and we've amassed a lot, this group alone has a lot of intelligence and a lot of knowledge collectively within this group. So is that giving you the power to conquer the world? And the answer is no. because there's a lot of other stages that go with it. And you have to be a good learner in order to absorb the knowledge. Then you have to apply the knowledge, which is the goal. You have to have a goal to focus the knowledge on. So if I want to learn to fly planes, learning the history of World War II fighter planes is not going to get me any closer to being able to qualify to become a pilot. Knowledge, right? Knowledge is power. I got the power. I know everything there is to know about World War II fighting planes, but it's not focused on my goal. If my goal is to be able to have cool conversation at the next event, yeah, people are going to be pretty impressed when you start throwing out some World War II pilot little tidbit knowledges. It's great party conversation if that's my goal. But no way, shape, or form is it going to get me any closer to get my pilot's license. So how do we do that? And this comes back to the coaching aspect. If you want to become a pilot, we go online. How to become a pilot. Guess what pops up? The steps on how to become a pilot. World War II fighter planes, not in there. Basically will tell you that you have to go and go to flight school. You have to get flight hours. You have to get, solo time. It maps down exactly what you need to do. Then that's the knowledge you accumulate. That's the goal. That's the focus. The goal is to become a pilot. The focus is to become a pilot. The knowledge is focused on becoming a pilot. That's the mindset. So with that said, again, there'll be challenges along the way, but how difficult would it be for anybody in this group starting tomorrow to figure out how to become a certified pilot? Right? You can do it right now. It'll take you 5 minutes. Bam. Go on your phone, certified pilot. It'll give you the steps. And there's not a lot. It's really not. So sort of like getting a motorcycle license. The fact that you're flying in the air and you got to fly a plane solo is kind of a little scary and unnerving because you don't have the confidence yet. You haven't been given the skills to do it or the knowledge. But you can do it, right? Everybody's convinced of that. And it's like that with anything. So whatever else you want to do, you want to open up a business. You want to pick any business, pick a shoe store. We can go online right now collectively and all of us can get all the information. Then what happens is you begin to realize you can substitute shoe store for health and vitamin store. Guess what? Pretty much the steps are the same. There's going to be a couple of steps that you're going to have to replace, but overall the steps are the same. Business plan, focus, market, real estate, online or brick and mortar. Same. Could you sell shoes online? Yes. Can you sell vitamins online? Yes. Same. Business plan. Sell shoes. Sell vitamins. Same. Once you start looking at things that way, that becomes the mindset. So lots of my friends own lots of businesses, and to them, it doesn't matter what the business is because it's all the same mechanics. It's what's the product, what's the service, what's the return on my investment. We're paying $5 for nuts and bolts and we sell them for $15. That's a good deal. We're paying $5 for vitamins and we're selling them for $6. Not a good deal. So that's, again, comes down to the goal, the focus, and the mindset. If you have the mindset that you're going to reach your goal, you have the mindset you're going to make it work, you're going to make it work. You have the mindset you're going to be successful in your business, you're going to be successful. You have the mindset that you're going to make it through college, you're going to make it through college. Lots of setbacks. Sometimes people have to drop out. There's economics, there's health issues, there's family issues. 4 years is a long time in the life of an 18, 19, 20, 21. And you can expand the ages based on some people start college at 17, 27. A lot of stuff happens in life. Some people get married, they get divorced. Some people get married, they have kids in college. But if you're focused and your mindset is that I'm going to complete college, and you see it on the flip side with women, they have kids and they're in abusive relationships and they have all of this stuff that you would think they would keep them from graduating, but their mindset is, I'm going to graduate. I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to get my education. they make it happen. So that's what you look at. What's the difference? Like, why does one person complete the college? Why does another person not? Well, they had issues. Their car broke down. Okay, well, this person's car broke down too. They rode their bike to school. They took the bus. They hitched a ride. They took Uber. Like, choice, choice, choice. This person, car breaks down. I got to go back home to Indiana. I can't go to school anymore. That's their choice. That's what works for them. But when you look at the success, you look at the leadership, you look at the mindset, what's the difference? One person was committed to getting their education no matter what. And if you're going to school for mom and grandma and Uncle Harry, that goes away quick once you start getting in the grind. It's just like trying to lose weight for someone. People smoke. Oh, I'm going to stop smoking because, my girlfriend, my wife, my sister, my mother, they don't like it. You know how long that lasts? Maybe a day. If you're not doing it for yourself, that's not truly your goal. So the focus, the mindset is what's key. And it's the little things, all the little things. Hey, I wake up every day and my focus is to have a good day. I start with meditation, I start with prayer, and I put my energy that I'm going to have a good day. So I'm not focused on my business, I'm not focused on particulars, I'm focused on I'm going to have a good day. That's the goal. Right? There are other elements that I get into after that stack up to help me be successful. So if I go in the kitchen and I spill the coffee, a lot of people, that ruins their day. They spill the coffee, they got to clean it up. It gets on their shirt. Now their shirt, that ruins their day. That has absolutely no impact on my day whatsoever because I have a goal, I have a focus. Coffee spilling, why would that ruin my day? I understand in other people's lives why they feel that should ruin their day, but why in the world am I going to let a cup of coffee spilling ruin my day? And it doesn't happen that often. I'm not clumsy. I'm pretty careful, but right, who hasn't spilled something, right? Everybody spills something in their lives at an inconvenient time, right? It just spills. It's an accident, and you can make it ruin your day if your mindset isn't right. I sent out a text just this week to 10 of my friends, and a lot of them are on the East Coast. I said it's a beautiful day. Send it out to 10 people. I'd send them positive stuff every day and on a regular, so no big deal. But they all wrote back referencing the weather. Oh, it's a storm here. It's a hurricane. It's awful. So I chuckled because what did I say about the weather? I said it's a beautiful day. But right away, their mind says they equated it to the weather. And it made me think even further that unfortunately, a lot of people do that. California, we got the benefit of pretty mild weather, but a lot of people wake up and they look out the window and they gauge their day based on the weather. It's rainy, it's cloudy, it's a gloomy day. And then their mood is impacted. So that's not a focus. That's not a goal. And that's the wrong mindset. Because my mindset is, again, California rains, so we should be really bummed out the few times it does rain because life is not the same. I couldn't care less if it's raining or not. It's still a beautiful day. I think rain is beautiful. I love the rain. I love when it rains, especially at the beach. There's like coolness to rain. You alter your day. So if I had things that I was going to do outside, like bike ride, and I actually ride my bike and I run in the rain, so that doesn't even daunt me. But if I had something I was going to do outside, you reschedule and you do things inside. You do your computer work. You do your conference calls. You do your catching up on paperwork. So you just switch. It doesn't have to not be a beautiful day because it's raining and gloomy or cloudy or stormy. It's still a beautiful day. I'm not going to quantify my day because of my mindset. My mindset is a beautiful day, whether it's raining, sunny, shiny, humid, cloudy. It doesn't matter. And then that's how you set a mindset to be successful and to be happy. You're not changing with the weather. You're not changing with the news. You're not changing with the climate. You're not changing with public opinion. You're not changing because your friend's in a good mood. You're not checking your phone and determining, oh, wow, I got some bum text. I got people who are annoyed with me. No, mindset. My mindset. I can get friends that are annoyed. They get annoyed. Everybody gets annoyed in life. I address the issue. I'll share a personal story with I played tennis with my friend the other day, and I kind of got a blister on my hand, right? So it's not really bleeding, but there's like blood on my hand, if like a regular blister. And so I keep irritating it on the racket. So we play. We're done. And so I go back and he sees my hand and he's like, "You're bleeding." And I'm like, "Well, not really." He's like, you contaminated me. I'm like, I didn't contaminate you. He's like, you did. I'm like, it's this hand which is on the racket. I didn't touch anything else. Like, I didn't touch the ball. You know, if you play tennis or racquetball, there's no way you touch your racket hand to the ball. But he left all upset, right? So I just thought for a second, like, okay. And I just let it go. So, he's prone to be temperamental, so I'm used to it, but I could have let that affect me, you know? And so he actually told me in a text, he didn't tell me in person. So he told me, and I just wrote back to him, I said, I didn't touch the ball with my bloody hand, and you're not contaminated. And I just left it at that. And then like 2 or 3 days later, he called me back, and he's the type that, you know, we all have friends, like he just glazes over. He doesn't say anything about the past. He doesn't apologize. He just goes in, you know, back to where we were. But point is, I could let that affect my mood, and I could let that sway me how he is. And I'm like, no, you know, and even if I did something wrong, I'd apologize. But I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. You know, my hand didn't touch the ball, dude. You know, you're not contaminated. Plus, my blood's not contaminated anyway. You'll be all right. So the focus, the mindset. Yeah, so that's the key ingredients that just want to leave you with that. And again, it has to be you for you. It has to be your focus. Because once you start getting into focusing for someone else to make grandma happy, or to make your family happy, or society happy, and and even if it's off the page, even if you want to, be a musician in the streets of Paris, people might give you that side eye look, but if that's truly what you want to do, go there, make it work. You might have to wait tables in the day and then sing at night, or do some side gigs to keep yourself afloat. But again, you can do it. Once you start focusing and once you get your mindset right, there's nothing you can't do. That's the beauty of this life. People pack up all the time and move across the country, move across the globe. I had a friend that didn't have a whole lot of great skills, wasn't the most intelligent guy in the world. And he comes in one day and he says, I'm going over to Korea. And I said, really? He says, yeah, I'm going to teach English for a year. I'm like, that's super cool, dude. It's exactly what he needed. He needed a change. He was in a rut here. He was just spinning his wheels. And he went over there and he came back and he was a whole new person a year later. So that was exactly what he needed. To change his mindset. And his mindset was he needed a change. He focused on the goal. He found this program. But how many other people don't find that program? How many people don't know that program exists because they're not looking, they're not making the effort. They're not truly having a mindset to make change. It's just like in college, people are like, oh, well, I don't have any resources. I don't have any this. I don't have, it's like, especially nowadays, the colleges have so many resources. You have business committees, you got business communities, you got Chamber of Commerce, you got all of these things that are interrelated to the college and the communities, and you're able there to help you and assist you if you take advantage of it. But again, that has to be a mindset. So, that's what I want to just leave you with, those key ingredients. It's just be you for you. Decide who you are, who you want to be. And again, it's going to be a little feeling out process because you don't know definitively, but focus on that, because most people don't. They focus on trying to make other people happy. They try to focus on making their girlfriend happy, their parents happy. Again, you want those people to be happy in your life, but I can assure you what they want is they want you to be happy. They're just pushing you in a direction that they think will make you happy. So once you balk, they might be a little upset, especially there's a lot of cultures and traditions and families that really get all up involved in your career and your college and your school and your decisions. So they might be really upset, but once they see that you're happy, they will be happy for you. It's guaranteed, because that's what they truly want. They just think that they have to help guide you to get there, but that's not always the path. It's not, their path is definitely not your path, unless you choose it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Richard, for sharing those points. Very, very, very true. Mindset is very important. And I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of people don't have access to build that up, or maybe they have, but it hasn't been introduced,
Correct.
And, so thank you so much for that work. We'll go ahead and have a little 5-minute intermission. So it's a small break. And then also we'll open up the Q&A session right after that as well. So that'd be really awesome. And thank you again for going ahead and being a speaker. And I got some comments about you that they think you're one of the greatest speakers on here. So it's pretty awesome.
Well, thanks everybody. Yeah, so I look forward to seeing everybody in a few minutes.
Awesome. Cool. So if anyone needs to go get cup of water or something. I think I'm gonna go get some water.
Angel,
What's up?
bro, this is awesome, bro. I'm just gonna stay here for a while because if I keep on moving, like there's gonna be too much noise. I'm not gonna be able to ask questions.
Okay, no worries, man.
Um,
I'll take the camera with me. How are y'all feeling? Or what are y'all thinking about?
This is Addie from Mobile. Hopefully you remember me. um, I think it's great, and a lot of what our speaker tonight was saying, I've seen it myself because for those of you that don't know me, I live in a very big small town in the South, and not a lot changes down here unless you're a big, huge company. And I just turned 27. And so a lot of what he's saying I'm going through right now, so it's just sort of a reminder that eventually something's gonna happen. By the way, Mr. Engel, I don't know if this is appropriate to mention, but just so you know, I did email all my paperwork in, so.
Yeah, I definitely got that. Thank you so much, Addie. Yeah, just so everyone knows, she is going to be one of our future speakers. She's on here tuning in for Richard as well. So super awesome to have you here.
I just wanted to tune in tonight just to see, what the, examples of what the format is like. So.
Sure, awesome. Thank you so much for that. All right, that's cool. How's everyone else doing?
no, we good. Yeah, I mean, work was great, dude, but low-key I had to go to the cooler today, and I had to wear like a weird kind of jacket, dude. And it's like, dude, I swear to God, like my eyes were crying when I was inside the freezer. And yeah, bro, it was terrible, to be honest. Like, I really wanted to get out.
Man.
uh, it's crazy, man, because there's like people that have like literally like frozen like eyebrows and like mustache. It's like all frozen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I was like, dude, like, are you in here like the whole time? Yeah, it's crazy.
Dang, that is crazy. Never experienced that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know how to put on the suit, dude. I was like, what the hell? Like, how do you put this on? Like the zipper doesn't go all the way down. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, it was like one of those what's it called, Huggies, or I don't know what they're called. Like the animal thing. You know, like I mean, you just had to fit your body inside there and just like zip it up, dude.
For sure, for sure. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. We're going to go ahead and start it back up. Just also she's doing homework. Cool.
You have to have like 4%.
Oh, wow. All right. So the 5 minutes have most definitely passed. Let's go ahead and open up the Q&A session for everybody. Awesome. So does anyone have any questions for Richard here? Anything about his journey? Anything about leadership, success?
Oh, Richard,
Sir,
it's an honor to have you here. I'm very, very excited to have you here today.
thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
And my question is, how do you connect your karate with your professional life, your leadership? Because I've seen a series, don't know if you're familiar with it, Karate Kid series on
Yeah.
Netflix. And I've learned so much with leadership, with, I forgot what's his name. He works at a dealership. He said, well, I'm gonna sell 10 cars today. I'm gonna sell them. And he did, because he had the goal, he had the motivation. So then he didn't let anything else bother him from completing that goal. And then there's so much to it, like with mindset, with patience, with motivation?
Yeah, great question. And the Cobra Kai show that you're talking about is a great little show because it depicts kind of the positive and the negative of the martial arts. And oftentimes martial arts does get depicted in a negative way because they just show the pure physical side or the pure aggressive side. So the way I've done it and what I've always done throughout my life, I saw it as the bigger picture. I learned to fight. I learned the fighting skills, which teaches me the self-control. It teaches me confidence. It's flexibility and self-control. So all those are the elements that I've learned through the art and what I teach my students. And with that, I teach them to fight, to protect themselves, to protect their families, and also to remain focused in adrenaline situations. So that's the essence of teaching the fighting skills, is because we induce stress-related situations, which getting hit is stressful and getting hurt is stressful. So by introducing those in a training environment, we're able to deal with this adrenaline stress. So when we're in business, whether it's selling cars or whether it's negotiating a deal, you see it all the time. People are aggressive. It's by nature. People think, oh, everybody's kind and so. No, there are people that are really aggressive, and so we're able in the martial arts true sense be able to deal with that adrenaline rush and apply it to business because we can have clarity. So people get all emotional. Not that I'm not emotional, but I'm able to control my emotions. And emotions are very powerful. And people think, oh, well, emotions are bad. No, it's human nature. We all have emotions. To try to suppress them or ignore them is when we have issues. And that's when we have stomach issues and problems and headaches and migraines. So what I do is I take the emotion, instead of being angry, I turn it into another emotion, a positive emotion. And so when people become angry and I stay positive, the positive will always overwhelm the negative. And it's just like they did a couple of good examples in that show Cobra Kai, where they showed that. But it's like, and everybody knows it's like taking the upper hand or taking the high road. It's all of those sayings that's what it applies to. That's how you apply it to the business.
Yeah, I mean, it's so amazing because although there's fighting, you learn so much from it. And I'm barely realizing that now that I heard you speak, and everything you said was really wonderful, but I was able to connect everything you said to the show. So I really recommend everybody to watch it. I feel like they'll learn a lot from it.
Yeah, no, you're right. They did a good job, because I was thinking the same thing. They covered a lot of key issues in there, and a lot about control and anger and negative emotions.
Yeah. Thank you for asking my question. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Awesome. Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
You weren't on mute, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm good now. It was a pleasure hearing you speak, Richard. You speak a lot of truth. I read on Angel's flyer that you had background in the military, the Marine Corps.
That's correct.
How has your military career impacted your take on leadership skills or anything like that? Because I know the military, it's like a whole different mindset of just focus and so on,
Yeah, great question. And I always look at the element of my progression. So what I do when I coach people is I ask myself the same questions. And so I just grew up, in a very disciplined home. My parents were very disciplined. My dad unfortunately died when I was 8, but he had inflicted a lot of structure in my life, respect and discipline and all of those key ingredients. And so to me, the military was like a logical progression. I played sports. I was always very disciplined. I was involved in the martial arts. I competed at a young age. So I always had a fascination, one, with the military because of the structure, the discipline, and then also the serving of your country. So to me, those are the big ingredients. So when I segued into it, and then funny enough, you'll enjoy this story. So I went in after college, and I thought I had it. So sort of like going to college, right? I thought going into boot camp, I studied it, I knew it, I had friends, I had it. So I show up for boot camp, and you've seen the movies, and I show up, and the drill instructors looked at me like I was fresh meat, and they knew I was mature. They knew I was fit. They knew I had so there was no mental things. There was no physical things. So they collectively, and you have 3 instructors three drill instructors in the Marine Corps. They're with you 24/7. And so they literally set out to make my life miserable. And when you're literally captive in one big room and you have three grown men trying to make your life miserable, guess what? They can do it. So they didn't break me, but man, they pushed me to the limit. I'm like, God damn, I thought I had this. I thought I was prepared. There was nothing challenging, there was nothing that physically I wasn't prepared, but I wasn't prepared for having three grown men. As soon as you wake up, they're in your face, like checking your shave and checking your breath and, all of these things that they have at their disposal, which is the process. It's the process of taking whoever and kind of making them humble and making them, reflect. And so I enjoyed the process, but it was really an interesting progression, the way they came at me. Basically I was a smart kind of arrogant guy. So they were like, yeah, we got something for the smart, arrogant guy that comes from Brooklyn. So they took pride in kind of giving me a hard time. But yeah, it was just a logical progression to get into that lifestyle. I joined the Marine Corps. I spent 4 years in and I thoroughly enjoyed the lifestyle. I enjoyed the whole essence of being able to serve. It really is a cool concept. And it definitely helps instill a lot of the good character traits that help you in life as far as leadership and confidence and physical and mental. It's definitely a good training ground. Anything military. So it doesn't even necessarily be in the military. There are other programs that are geared like a military type structure that will help you.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I kind of have like the same values of wanting to serve your country. I'm currently studying clinical laboratory science, so it's in the medical field. But I do want to apply that in the military. I feel like it's a good way to build some of those leadership qualities as well as that mentality. So then when I do come back into like the civilian world, then I'll be a better man and it'll be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. I always encourage people to join the military. A funny story, I had a student of mine. It was a dad and three sons, and they were all just great people. And the oldest son was a little like, he was kind of ADD, and so he'd get in trouble, but he was a good kid and he was smart, but he was a big guy too. So he'd get in trouble because of his like rambunctiousness. So his dad comes to me and he says, hey, the kid's name was Forrest. He said, Forrest is thinking of joining the Marine Corps. Would you talk to him? And I said, Jeff, do you really want me to talk to him? Because, I'm pro-military. And if I talk to him, then I'm just going to tell him the benefits. I'll give him the reality, but I'm going to be on the positive side of it. He's like, no, he respects you. I appreciate you talking to him. So Forrest talks to me and I told him, I gave him the pros and the cons and all of the reality of it. And so then my buddy Jeff calls me the next day. He said, what did you say to Forrest? I said, what do you mean? He says, oh, he went today to enlist. And I'm like, really? I'm like, well, I guess all the negatives I told him didn't equate. He's like, no, he said he had a nice conversation with you and you helped make up his mind that he was going to enlist. And so he enlisted. And then sure enough, he wound up making a career out of it. So he's still in. He's completed his 25th year. So it definitely, and that's what I told him, that it was suited for him, that he would definitely be able to use that aggression and that energy he had in a positive way and in a positive field. And he did super well. They made him a drill instructor and he had a successful career in the military. But his dad had me laughing. He's like, yep, after he talked to you, he went straight to the recruiter. I said, I told you not to have him talk to me.
Nice. I see Vidi has a question here. She put it on the chat. She asked, how long have you been in martial arts, and do you think martial arts can apply to one's daily life?
Yeah, good question. I've been in martial arts literally my whole life. I'm 40 years. So I've been teaching for 30 and basically a student for 10. So I quickly moved up into the leadership roles. And it is a part of everyday life. Like I said, it's the bigger picture because it's I stretch every day. I do meditation every day. I do my drills every day. And so that is what gives me the physical strength, the mental strength, the flexibility, not only physical body, but also in your mind. And so I'm also able to deal with adrenaline situations that affect the average person. I was walking with actually one of my clients. We were walking on the beach. This is about a month ago. And we're walking on the beach, and there's like a path next to the beach. And we're just chatting, and we're kind of talking about her business. She's in real estate. And there's an older couple in front of us, and the guy literally drops at my feet, and he hits his head, and he like bounces off the concrete. So I just sprung into action. I kneel down, I put my hands on his chest, and I say, sir, sir. And, that's, if you're familiar with CPR, that's your basic first step, is you see if a person's conscious. And I could feel his heart was beating, so CPR wasn't necessary. So I say, sir, sir. Get his attention. He kind of talks to me. So he kind of was knocked out for a little bit, a little groggy. So someone was walking by, I grab a towel from them, put it under his head, and then I start talking to him, and his wife was there, and I'm calming her down. I'm telling the guy who I got the towel from to call 911, and I'm just kind of soothing the guy, telling him, are you okay? Are you on medications? Do you having fainting spells? And just kind of kept him calm, and then keeping the wife calm. And so after this all gets under control, I'm like, okay, everybody's got this. I get up and I start walking, and then I'm with my client and I start talking to her again. And she looks at me and she says, how did you just do that? I'm like, do what? She's like, the guy literally falls at your feet. She said, I thought he was dead. She said, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on. And she said, the next thing I know, you're like springing into action. And I thought about it for a second. I'm like, well, I guess. I said, but to me, that's just like what you do. Like, what else was I going to do? Like, somebody had to do it. So that's the adrenaline you look at. Because after I think about it, yeah, it is unnerving. You have some old guy collapse at your feet and you don't know if he's dead. But to me, I don't, the adrenaline kind of, I contain the emotion, the adrenaline, and I use it in action, 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 action. You truly kind of, it's like, you don't want to be the deer in the headlights, so you break it by moving. Everybody knows that concept. So that's how you use the training, because that's all of my training in the martial arts, to be able to do that, to be able to work in adrenaline, stress-filled situations without hesitating. Because once you hesitate, then that's when panic sets in.
Wow, that's interesting. Awesome. She said, thank you on the chat.
Awesome.
Wow, that's interesting. I don't even think about that aspect of it either. That's awesome. Being able to spring into action, that's a really good skill to have too. Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, that's
Anybody
funny
else
that-
have any questions?
I just wanted to add on. It's really funny, Richard, that you say that, because I just had a class earlier yesterday, and what had happened was it's an acting course, and everybody was kind of just like hesitant to go in, and I was also kind of like, all right, I'll let people go. But the more I waited, the more I kind of felt uneasy. It was so strange. I was like, huh, okay, I guess that's what kicks in when you just don't push through.
No, absolutely. And we as people, we have a herd mentality. People that hear that are like, yeah, it's not a bad thing. We gather, from the early days, cavemen gathered together because there's safety in numbers, and, we were able to gather food, and we were able to protect our families, and we were able to grow communities. So that is the herd mentality. So we're going to try to move in a herd, so college is the perfect example. And so there's nothing wrong with that, but I always change that mindset, because sometimes it's not good to go with the herd, because the herd is either they're not taking action, or they're confused, or they're looking for someone to lead the herd. And it was funny, it happened to be the same guy I was telling you about, him and his 3 sons. I had taken him back in North Carolina to it was a church function. We had tickets to an indoor football arena game, and then we had pizza. And so there was a bunch, we had like 500 kids. And so there was like all of these rows of pizza. And so everybody lines up on one side of the table. And so as you can imagine, the line goes way down the other side of the parking lot. So my friend goes all the way down on the end of the line. And I said, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to get pizza. And I said, well, so am I. So he's like, oh, okay. And so he goes to the end of the line. His sons, knowing me and being smart, they follow me. So what I do is I go to the opposite side of the table, right? So the table's here, the line is here, and this side of the table is empty. So I walked on the side of the table. I got 4 boxes of pizza. I went and sat down. And so we're sitting down and eating pizza. And then Jeff, the father's name, so one of the boys goes and he runs down to the end of the line. He says, Dad, we got pizza. And so his dad is like not convinced and thinking, we broke the rules. So finally he comes over and he's like, well, how did you get pizza? I said, I walked up to the table. He's like, but don't you have to wait in line? I'm like, no, the line is to give you pizza. I don't need to wait in line because I got pizza. So he's trying to process it, because I know he's a logical guy. I'm like, I said, not everybody needs to stand in line. If you use both sides of the table, or if you literally walked up there and got your pizza, then the line wouldn't be necessary. And you see that in traffic a lot. Like a lot of times there's this line buildup in traffic, And then like you're driving, you're like, what is everybody doing? Like, why don't they get over? Like, what are they in one lane for? You know, because that comes back to the same herd mentality. And sometimes you have to step out from the pack. You know, sometimes you have to take the lead. And again, it takes a little bit of courage, takes a little bit of confidence, takes, again, goals and focus. And then that's who becomes your leader. Because you're not always right, and you're not always going to pave the way, but somebody has to take, because everybody's like, no, I don't want to be the first one in. I don't want to go down this lane. I don't want to go down this road. But the leader will say, yeah, let's see where this leads. And if it doesn't work, then I'll get back in the main line. I'll get back with the crowd.
Nice. I do have a question too. So I was going to ask, what do you think is the most top adversity you've had to face, and how did you get through that? You know, with a mindset that you previously talked about.
Yeah, great question. And I think about that often because that's all part of the, you know, again, you want to, the martial arts teaches you to be the best person you can be. And then that means dealing with your adversities, dealing with the things you have. And a couple of things were factors, and they kind of had like a piggyback effect. And so I said, I lost my dad when I was 8 years old. And so my dad went off to work in the morning, got killed in a car crash. My grandmother came over and told me, my brother, my sister, who were older than me, I was 8, brother was 15, sister was 16. And so my grandmother came over and just told us that, you know, she was old school. So she just came over and said, hey, your dad was killed in a car crash. You know, no flowery language, just bam. And so here I am, 8 years old, trying to grasp that. And so that was the one element of it, just losing my dad like that so suddenly and abruptly. And he was my hero, truly a great person in my life, my true hero. And then that was gone. And then what followed, unfortunately, is that, you know, now my mother, who is in her 30s, has 3 kids. She's widowed. And at that point in time, divorce wasn't really common, so there wasn't a lot of single women. So people stayed married. You know, everybody understands that concept. Times were different. And so she wasn't well received in society because she's a single woman. And so other women didn't like single women hanging around their husbands. You know, it just wasn't the natural thing. And then she's raising kids. So she has almost a mental breakdown. My sister and brother turned to alcohol and drugs. And so now I'm faced with the loss of my dad. My family is literally disintegrating around me by falling into, you know, coping with their depression with alcohol and drugs. So you're faced with a choice, you know, again, so it's like everybody, like I talked about. So my choice is then, do I follow the same path to numb myself? Do I follow the path of being angry? Because I was angry. I was angry with God. I really had a lot of angry thoughts for God to do this to me, and questions why. And, you know, again, I'm a religious person, and I was then, but I definitely had a lot of anger. And so I came to the point where, again, even at 8 years old, I was like, well, I can continue to be angry. I could fall into numbing it with drugs and alcohol and follow that path, or I could try something different. And then that's when I got into sports. I got into martial arts, and I took this whole positive energy. I'd get up in the morning, and my every day was a great day, and I'd go out and I'd play sports. And I grew up in a neighborhood where there were lots of kids. And so every day you went out, there was 15 kids. We lived in an apartment complex, and we'd play sports, baseball, football, basketball, tennis. And I was so driven that I was always driven to be the best. So if we were going to play tennis, I made sure I put all my effort in at least being in the top tennis, you know, being one of the top people picked, or one of the top players. Basketball, same thing. And so that's where I focused my energy. And from there, I began to just springboard. Okay, that's how I can continue to move. And my brother died a few years ago from lung cancer, and he died being addicted to drugs. So he didn't change his life. You know, my mother stopped drinking alcohol, so that was a good thing. She passed away a few years ago. My sister's still alive, and she's still a functioning alcoholic. So her choice was that. And it took me time to accept the be you for you, because I have to accept that she is who she is, because that took me a little bit of time. So it's a very great question. So that took me a lot of time to understand that I have to accept her for who she is, and not have issues of being angry with her. So those are the things that I dealt with that helped me see my mindset is really going to make a difference. Really going to keep me from falling into addictions, really take me from falling into anger, really keep me from making excuses, And it helps me see other people that they have the potential as well, regardless of where they come from or what they're facing. And that's why I'm able to teach that these things are just, I just look at it as a journey in my life. You know, I have a cousin and he knows my story, of course. And so he looks at these things as more hardships than I do. Like, he's like, oh man, you suffered all of this. I'm like, I don't see it that way. You know, of course it's hardship, but I don't see it. I just see it as part of my life. You know, it's just part of my journey. And other people have other things in their life, you know, that have inflicted them. So I just look at it, that's things that I dealt with in my life's journey.
Well, I think it's interesting that you brought up the point. You don't view it as hardship, you know, like as much as other people do. And I think that's pretty awesome. I think there's some perspective in that. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, but like I said, it comes down to the choice. So it's like I said, I live what I teach, and I always make sure when I teach people. And funny enough, I had a decision to make the other day about these different paths of investments, and my wife is really sharp as well. So she looks at me, she says, "What would you advise one of your clients?" And I said, "Great point." I said, "I need to follow the advice that I give," and of course I did. So I literally told her, I said, "Well." Because basically it was a deal where the money was better, but there was a personality conflict. And I could deal with personality conflict, but I knew if I went into business with these people that it would be a constant rub. Like I'd constantly have to work. You know, everybody knows those scenarios where you could kind of like take the higher road, but you know you're going to be taking a lot of higher roads. So I said, well, I would tell them to walk away from the situation. It's not worth the money. And she said, good. She said, I agree. But yeah, so I always reverse engineer it to say, you know, and it comes back to what we talked about before. Are you living the life? Are you doing what you say? You know, are you teaching about confidence and control, and are you displaying that? Are you talking about treating people fairly, and then you're acting nasty to the waitress? So, you know, it's always, I always look at that, say, am I following what I teach or help people to see?
Nice. That's awesome. That's one of the most honorable things about leadership. Being the example. It's awesome. Does anybody else have a question?
I do have a question. So, Richard, I love how you mentioned about the corporate world and entrepreneurship. You mentioned that entrepreneurship is not necessarily for everyone, and I do see how people get the misconception that, oh, if you're in the corporate world, you don't really enjoy it or any of that. I do believe that a lot of people in the corporate world do enjoy it. It just depends on your preference. And as for me, I like the best of both worlds. So I actually do enjoy both. And I see the benefits of both, and I see the drawbacks of both. So I would like you to explain from your perspective, since you have been in both worlds also. What do you feel the pros and cons of being in the corporate world are versus the pros and cons of being in the entrepreneurship world is?
Yeah, great question. And I appreciate that you have that open mind. And that's a benefit of a younger generation. There's lots of people in my generation, they're like one or the other. They're like, you know, you either sold out in the corporate world or you're a free spirit. So I'm glad that a lot of the younger generation is realizing that there's the benefits in both. And so I'll start out with the negative in the corporate world. This is the banner that everybody has out there. You're stuck from 9 to 5. So basically you're stuck from, say, 9 to 5, 10 to 6, whatever your work schedule is, Monday to Friday, 40 hours, could be 50 hours, depending on the corporate structure of your position. So that could be limiting. But I'll automatically flip that. Most corporations are responding to that now, especially with COVID. A lot of the corporations have gone home-based, and a lot of corporations have gone what they call flexible schedule, where you can do your work at various times. So if you want to go and spend time at the beach in the morning, or you want to go skateboarding, or you want to do whatever it is you enjoy, you can do that from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then you go back to work and work a little later. So they have a flexible schedule where people who maybe are not morning people, they can start at 1 in the afternoon. And again, so it all depends on your job and your workload. If you're dealing face-to-face with customers, of course you can. But if you're dealing in a corporate sales kind of thing, you set up your corporate meetings for the afternoon, you set up your appointments for later in the day. So therefore, that takes out a lot of the negative of the corporate world, that you're stuck in this 40-hour, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So lots of flexible scheduling. A lot of corporations, like I said, home-based. Lots of corporations are going to 4-day work weeks. So there's lots of companies that are doing this, and lots more are exploring it. So that can give you the benefit of both. So I know a lot of people that work 4 days, and then 3 days they're getting their business up and running. So they're putting in that as soon as they leave on the 4th day, bam, they're in entrepreneur mode, and they're like banging it out for 3 days. And that's a great balance, because you kill it in both worlds. Corporate world, you get a steady salary, you get benefits, you get vacation. You get, like they call it, I heard this a long time ago, and it always made me laugh, and it applies. It's called the 8 and skate. Are you familiar with that? So basically, you work your 8 hours, you skate out of there. So I remember when the first time someone told me that, they're like, yeah, it's an 8 and skate. I'm like, what in the world is that? They're like, well, you do your 8 hours, you go home. You don't have to worry about work. Entrepreneur, you don't turn off the switch. You know what I mean? There's no turn out the lights and lock the door. Your mind's constantly going. So you do have that benefit. You get the 8 and skate. You do your 9 to 5, you do your hours, and you're done. You clock out. And then you don't have to take the job home with you in most cases. And again, if you go up the corporate ladder, you're going to get more of that. And so that's the corporate side. So I've always been able to work within the corporate side. I've always had flexible hours. I've always done a lot of work remotely. I've always convinced them that I can do just as much of my job away from sitting in a cubicle or in an office than I can anywhere else. And my productivity proves that. So I always make sure that I keep productive, so they don't ask a lot of questions. When I first moved out to California and I first went remote, I made the mistake of posting a lot of stuff early in the day. And a lot of people got annoyed, like, how are they paying me? And I'm on the beach all day. And I was like, interesting point. I was getting my job done, but I had to deal with that perception. So all I did was start posting pictures later. Actually, for the first week, since I'm kind of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of guy, for the first week I would post, this is me at the beach on my lunch break. This is me on the beach in the morning before work. So I was able to have the flexibility, and I still do have the flexibility, because and if anything happens, I can respond on the beach, and people know that. My bosses know that, so they're cool. So there's always like somebody that complains. So my bosses know that if I happen to be sitting on the beach, because I run every day, if I happen to be there and something happens, I could plug up, laptop, phone, I'm up and running in a matter of seconds, whether I'm sitting at home or I'm at the beach or I'm at a hotel or a pool. So that's the evolution of the corporate world. The entrepreneur world is you have the ability to focus on your goal. In the corporate world, you're focusing on someone else's goal, whether it's to sell, to produce, to input data, to provide information. As the entrepreneur, you get to take from fruition what you want to do. You want to sell, you want to create, you want a sales team, you want people, you want to help people, you want to sell potions and lotions. You can do it from square one. You can fulfill your goals. And there's nothing more satisfying than having a business plan and a goal and say, I want to create a business, and then create it, and then start making money. And then you take that money and you start spending it in society. And then you start hiring people. There's nothing better than that feeling. Nothing better when you hire your first employee and then you give them money and they're able to go out and have a life and buy a home and have a family. And you're just able to have more flexibility because you know what you need to work on. In the corporate world, you're going to be doing something because the boss said. It's like in the military, they say, it's a joke, but it actually is true. Like they need to kill time. So it's like, dig up a hole over here and put the dirt over there. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want us to do once we get the dirt over there? We'll take it and put it back in the hole, right? So it's sort of like, the government joke, but it's a corporate reality because you need to keep people busy. You're not going to come in a corporate structure and say, everybody, we don't really have any work today. We're slow. Just kind of sit around and do your own thing. You got to come up with busy work. Everybody knows the term busy work. So in the corporate world, you're doing a lot of busy work. Guess what? In your own business, you're not doing busy work. You're like, I'm going home, or I'm going to do this. I'm going to focus on something more productive. I'm going to work on sales calls. I'm going to work on getting with my customers. I'm going to work on a presentation. I'm going to work on a training. So you can take that busy work and convert it into 100% productivity and do it for you. And plus, your corporate structure is really like a 30,000 mile view. So when things get down to you at your basic level, even if you're a field manager, it's already come from 30,000 feet above and it's already been outdated. So they're telling you to work on something and do something that you know that your team and your project it's not really what you need to be working on, but you have to follow the initiatives. You can try and change it, but that takes time too. You don't have that problem in your own business because you respond immediately. You see what you need to work on. You see what the trend is. You see what needs to be changed. Also, you have a better relationship with your customers and your people. People like dealing with the owner of a business, bottom line. When you say I'm the owner, people love talking to you. They like to complain to you as well, but they like talking to you. There's no better feeling than representing yourself that this is my business. How can I help you? It automatically takes it to a whole different level of, hey, I'm frontline manager Joe. How can I help you? Frontline manager Joe, I'm the owner of the business. Really not that difficult to figure out which person's going to get a whole lot more respect and attention. So those are the things that come with the entrepreneurs that you can't. And plus, you're in a different world. You're working with entrepreneurs. You're dealing with entrepreneurs. You're thinking like an entrepreneur. Lots of people in the corporate world get stuck, and it becomes the gerbil wheel. They just get stuck, and they don't think about anything other than 9 to 5. Friday 5, they're going to go and have a barbecue, and they're going to go to the bar, and they're going line dancing, and then Monday morning they're back at it. Again, nothing wrong with that. Be you for you. I respect it. But you, me, anyone that gets in that corporate herd, guess what? We can get caught up in that herd as well. Hey, Friday at 5, come by the house. We're going to sit around and have a barbecue and drink beer. They're not talking about business ventures. They're not talking about stocks. They're not talking about IRAs. They're not talking about expanding your business. They're not talking about new trends. They're not talking about, properties and legal and how to expand your business. It's just not usually the topic of conversation because that's not where their mindset is. And so that's going to be your tribe. That's going to be your people. As opposed to going Friday where people say, hey, come with me to this meeting. We're going to go learn about some new real estate development downtown. And then you're going to meet entrepreneurs. And you're going to meet people who are moving and shaking. People who are where you are now. Or people who have been with, hey, I just left the corporate world. Hey, I'm doing both. So that's the difference. Once you put yourself in that herd, in that tribe, definitely better for the soul.
That's awesome. I agree with you 100%. And I definitely do see the difference between being busy and productive. And there's a lot of busy people in the corporate world versus in the entrepreneurial world where you focus on 100% productivity, how to make everything work, making sure that everything is delivered. And I definitely do see that with my friends who are entrepreneurs, who have the mindset, who have the free spirit. They are more interested in investing, things like that, coming up with innovative ideas. So definitely do see that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, so you definitely do both, the best of both worlds. And definitely, people always say, some people recommend, just like blow the corporate world off and run out into the wild and start a business. I'm like, no. Just use them both. Have both feet firmly in the place until you're ready to go 100% entrepreneur. And you don't even have to. I know some people that have retired 20 years from a job and had set up their business for when they retired. They were running in parallel, retired, they're getting a pension now. So they work for the government, they work for a corporation, they're getting a pension, they're getting benefits, and then they segued right into their corporate business, their entrepreneur business that they had been set up. So yeah, and it comes down to be you for you. I always tell people, just follow what's best for you. What I tell people with the corporate world is you leave the corporate world when you had enough. When you get up and you dread going to work because it's miserable and you don't have that, it's going to be a beautiful day mentality. First, maybe it's just the job you have in the corporate world. Maybe you can switch to another job, or maybe you're at the end of your rope with the corporate world. So I always explore those with people. Say, hey, maybe it's your company. Maybe you need to switch companies. Maybe you need to switch departments because that helps sometimes too. You might be in a department where the culture is not good. You go across the hallway and now all of a sudden it's a great environment. It's a lot better. It's a lot more a healthy environment based on the work environment. So those are the basic things that I recommend people look at instead of like burning the whole ship, you know. Sometimes switch teams, switch departments, switch jobs.
Yeah, I agree. And for people who are in both worlds, I do feel that they should definitely leave the corporate world entirely when they feel that they have more funds coming from the entrepreneur or business that they have already, because then they know that they're established and that's sustainable.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about stability. Yeah, because business is not fun when you're not making money. And you need to provide for yourself, and especially when you're looking for a family, you have to provide.
Yeah, that's very true. I like that you talk about it in a realistic sense too. You know, some people, because some people are just like, you know what, go make a business and quit your job like right now. But it's like, wait, what? It's not.
Oh, yeah, so I talk about often because a lot of times advice is like really limited. It's like, it's like a little coined phrase. It's like I always use the, buy a house cheap and sell it for more. Yeah, that's true, but that's not going to get you anywhere. So there needs to be a bit more substance to these little sound bites.
Got it. That's awesome. Did anyone else have a question? Someone that didn't go yet, maybe? Don't all come at once, please.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, I have one question. Hear me, Mr. Gordon.
Go ahead.
I remember you mentioned earlier about the loss of your father at the age of 8, and how your family had like difficult times like coping with it. Um, Assuming you're a man of strong, like a strong mental health and strong mental capabilities, how would you, I guess, give advice to someone that is struggling with one's own mental health, and how to just kind of guide themselves into a more successful life, like try to cope with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, great question. And it comes down to, again, the be you for you, because some people need outside help. You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with seeking help. It doesn't have to be of an official sense. It could be like a friend. It could be a mentor. So to me, communication is the big thing. And I communicated through sports. I communicated through the martial arts. That was my way of communicating. I still look at it as communication. So maybe you need to talk to someone that's a professional, that's well-versed in dealing with issues and trauma. There's a lot of different people that helping deal with past trauma. That are not doctors, or they're not psychologists, but they help people just uncover things. And they do lots of great work, because we have blocks and we have issues, and then maybe it's more serious. Maybe it is a chemical imbalance. I had a friend that had a chemical imbalance, and so there was nothing she can do on her own. There was no way to cope. People like cope with it, adjust, and mindsets. I come back to the mind. There was no way for her to adjust her mindset, because chemically her brain was imbalanced, and she had to go and she had to get some sort of professional help. So you just have to go through the tiers of trying to get a mentor to help you, a counselor to help you, go through the school resources. You have that at your disposal in the school. So explain to them what your situations are, what you need help with. And sometimes it's a group conversation. So it's really hard to say, like I said, because it's a be you for you. You have to see what worked for you, but don't be afraid to take the steps, and don't be afraid to communicate with people and say, hey, this is what I'm grappling with. This is what I need help with. And again, that's a sign of strength. That's not a sign of weakness, because people who don't ask for it, they're afraid. And so you want to be able to be strong enough to say, hey, I need a little help. And even in college life, sometimes, a lot of times there's statistics that show you freshman year, people have a lot of issues in college. So you have to reach out and say, I'm not adjusting well. I'm away from home, financially, the workloads, the friends, the lots of things. I need some help, so who can help me? And then there's people that can help you. And there's peer groups that can help. So there's like so many different layers and structures to it that can help. It can be as simple as a peer group where people sit around and say, hey, I'm feeling the same way. I'm missing home. I feel depressed. I feel down. I feel, I'm not happy. I'm not enjoying things. And then you can kind of share. And then if not, take it to the next level. Does that help answer your question?
It does, yes. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome, awesome. Definitely a good question for sure to ask. Cool. Did anyone else have a question? I see Dominique, the other Richard as well. Our Richard, Giselle, Benjamin, Fernie. I know Robert's here too. Did
Well,
any of y'all
yeah, I
have any
might have a
questions?
question. Yeah, for me,
Okay,
Brady.
cool.
So, for example, Mr. Richard, thank you so much. My name is Richard, everyone, and thank you so much to be here.
Did he go on mute?
He was here and now he's gone.
Huh. Maybe I don't know what happened.
That is just
Stage fright.
Oh, there he
I
goes.
think
Hold
it
on.
was his network or something.
He's joining.
It was someone else. I'm so sorry. My bad. Can I continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry, my guys. Sorry. So yeah, my question is like, for example, in your during your journey, you will have people, like you said, like you ask for help and they will helping you. How do you deal with the people that is like, for example, on your team, and they don't want to cooperate with you? They don't want to to do their task, and so over you will have like more job for yourself. So how do you deal with that kind of situation? How can you create that communication with them when they have a negative mindset, when they have also their mind really closed and they're not willing to open it and
Sure.
listen?
Yeah, great real world question. And if you're a leader and if you're a business owner, you're going to have to deal with that. And in some structures, like in the military, I didn't have the opportunity to hire and fire people. So whoever I had, I was stuck with. Luckily in my business, I was able to carefully hire and then carefully groom the people. But there are structures where you have people that are not going to perform up to your standard. And I had to learn that young, because from a young age, I was very determined. I was very disciplined. And I expected everyone to perform to the level that I did. I thought that was the norm. Like, you come to work, you do what I do. And I'm like, whoa, shocking. I was getting like slapped around because it was like a rude awakening. So what I realized and what I did is, and this comes back to my same philosophy, is be you for you. So I began to realize that not everybody that's on my team, so we can use 10, the number of 10 people, not all 10 people on my team are going to be at my level, of discipline and structure and confidence or caring and all of those things. So then I have to look at, okay, so then I have to accept them for who they are. And my role as a leader is to get the maximum out of them. So if we're using a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is the top. So I'm going to try to get them, if they're at a 2, try to get them to a 4 or 5. So I'm going to get them to the best of their ability. So they're not going to necessarily have the potential to be a 10. That's unrealistic. So if I can get them to a higher level, then the team average goes up dramatically. So if you go from everybody's at a 2 and I can get them up to a 5, guess what happens? The magic of Presto Magic Average, the team's average is now 5. So we went from 2 to 5. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but that makes a lot of difference in production, makes a lot of difference in culture, it makes a lot of difference in morale of the team. And then it's a little easier to jump from 5 to 6 and 7. So we're not going to jump from 2 to 7. That's a little bit difficult because it's like we're setting the mindset. They don't have it. They don't have the mindset. They have the mindset they show up for the group. They're not prepared. They don't care. They're not doing it. All of those things. And so you have to be able to motivate and encourage. If you continue to try to beat someone with a stick, they're going to dig their feet in even more. They're going to become very argumentative. They're going to be very difficult to manage. So you have to be able to encourage their strengths. If someone's a 2 out of 10, you don't want to focus on the 8 points that they're missing. Focus on the 2. Maybe they show up on time. Maybe they come dressed properly. Maybe they are friendly. Like, whatever it is, focus that. Focus on the 1, 2, 3 points that are positive to encourage them. And then the reality is, if you have control, you set a minimum standard. People can't meet the minimum standard. Like if you can't come to the meetings, you can't come prepared, you can't come wearing the t-shirt, whatever the requirements are, then you can't be part of this group. You know, so with my own business and in the corporate world, I have the freedom to do that. So I hire people that fit the criteria, and if they don't maintain it, then we part ways. So if you have that luxury, you set the standard. And I've had friends who work for me and were in business with me that didn't meet the standard. And I went to them and I said, hey, you got to go because you're not meeting the standard. And it didn't impact our friendship because it was nothing personal and I was professional about it. I'm like, I have a standard here at my workplace. You didn't meet it for whatever reasons. You have to go. And they accepted that. So yes, set the standard, set the expectations, but be realistic.
Yeah.
You know, because I know it's hard as a motivated leader. You want everybody to be just as motivated as you, but the sooner you realize that's not going to happen, and the sooner you realize on your team you want to get the best out of each person, and if you do that and you increase each person exponentially, your score, your average, your attendance, your productivity, all of that will go up dramatically, and then the culture becomes better, and then people will improve better. Because if you have a group of people performing at the level of 2, they're going to perform like people at 2. If they're at 5, they're going to perform and act a little bit better. It's just human nature.
Yeah. So basically you give, you see the value on what they do good, right?
Correct.
So the skills that they already have, improve or they're good about. So you give them value for that one, and for there you start.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise if you just keep beating them down, then they're not even going to give you a 2. They're going to come in and give you nothing. They're going to give you nothing but aggravation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'll keep it in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's not easy. So again, it's always funny when I explain certain things because it's just steps. It's like 1, 2, 3. But when you're dealing with people, you're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with dynamics, that's where the leadership focus really has to be applied. Because when you have your goal, so when I have my goal, it's nothing personal. So when I go to someone, I say, I need you to perform this way. It's nothing personal. It's I need them to perform in accordance with reaching my goal, or our goal, our company's goal. Whatever the goal is that's my intention. So it's nothing personal. It's just you are not performing to reach our goal or reach our numbers or reach our sales. I keep it very goal oriented, and it's that makes it simple to understand. But no, I know there's emotions and there's a lot of other things that go into it.
Yeah, that's true. Also, the backgrounds, it's a really impact on it too.
No, absolutely. And so, and that's why you just can't discriminate and say, oh, everybody that has a tough time or everybody that comes from this side of town, because they're going to have certain cultural traits. So the true leader is able to take that and to develop positive traits within that. And then that, again, shows your leadership skill. Because anybody could take people that come in that are all 9s. So we give you a team. We say, hey, here's your team, Richard, and they're all performing at 9 and 10. Sure, you're a great leader. Let's see what you can do with the 2s and 3s.
True. Yeah. In addition to that, you get adapt for some people, because, like I said, they can have like some different backgrounds. So somehow you need to adapt for them. And like you said, you see the value on what are they good in. And for that you start,
And the key things in business and people working for you is, and I've explored this over and over again, people want to be appreciated and they want the tools and the information to do what the tasks are. Those are the key ingredients that people want. And so people always debate pay. There are a lot of people that do things for free, that do things. My wife, like I said, runs a gaming blog, and she's got 15 Ivy League college students that review games for her as interns for free. And some of them have been doing it for 2, 3, 4 years throughout their whole college career for free. So how does money factor in for free? Because she treats them with respect. She gives them the tools they need. She gives them cool games because she gets games before they're released, and basically they're betas and they get to review them. So they get appreciation. They get the tools they need to do their job. My wife treats them with respect. She answers their calls. She handles their questions. That's what you need to provide, and that's what people want in a work environment. So people don't leave their jobs or their groups or organizations based on money. There's plenty of volunteer organizations that people have been volunteering for your houses for Habitat for 20 years. So money is a factor, but it's not the factor. People leave jobs and work because of the lack of appreciation and the lack of tool to do their job or training to do their jobs.
Right. True. Yeah, pretty interesting. Thank you.
Awesome. Let me see. Yeah, it's 8:54, so we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and just ask one more question, and then we'll go ahead and close it out. So anyone have a final question they'd like to ask Richard before we go ahead and conclude the meeting? Remember to be a leader within yourself and take it up and ask the question.
Mr. Richard, this might come as a bit of an odd question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Have you ever worked?
I did
Oh,
muted.
you got yourself on mute right there.
Okay,
Addie.
I was asking. There it goes. My computer's being a little weird. I was just asking if you had ever worked with a student with a disability before, and the only reason I ask is because entrepreneurship and leadership is becoming very prevalent in that community. So, and I live and work in that community.
So was the full question, have I worked with people with disability? Was that the question?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have. And the same concept within the martial arts. I feel in life and in general that the martial arts and all things are available to everybody with certain accommodations. So within the martial arts, I brought the benefits of martial arts to anybody. I had people in wheelchairs. I had people, one young boy came to me, he was blind in one eye and deaf. He had some sort of mental, brain issue when he was born. And so he couldn't do any sports. He couldn't do anything that other kids were doing. So the mother luckily brought him to me, and it was very easy to adapt. Basically, I had to stand on his left side so he could see everything I was doing. And so if you don't accommodate that, then he would literally miss a lot of what you did, especially in physical demonstration. But once I did that, he performed better than anybody else because he tried harder. So he already knew that he was coming in not as capable as some of the other kids. So he listened better, he tried harder, and he excelled. And so he became a very, very talented martial artist and a very talented student. So yeah, I always work with people whenever I can. And it's like anything, like we were talking with Richard, even capable bodied people, you have to make accommodations. So you take the strengths of someone, whatever their disability is, and you use what strengths they have. And they can be super intelligent, maybe they have mobility issues. So you use that intelligence and you don't focus on their mobility issues. So that's how you put people where they need to be. And again, that person can be a leader to able-bodied people to say, hey, I have limitations and I could accomplish a lot. And to other people who have limitations and say, I can accomplish a lot. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing to work with people of all facets. And it comes back to the be you for you.
Yes. The reason I asked that question is I was just curious whether or not you had ever done it, because I myself, I live with a mobility related disability. We had students with it, cerebral palsy. Okay. And I'm 27 and I have my own business, and you can hear about it later when I actually do my speaking thing. But my mom told me, from the time I was little, she told me the exact same thing you just said. You can have anything you want, but, within legal means, but you're going to have to work 10 times harder to get it because everybody's looking at you like the odd person out of the door.
Absolutely. So I commend you for your spirit. And like I said, and people see that and recognize that because, yeah, some people have to work harder. And it's different things and different reasons people have to work harder. And once you look at that, and just like we were asking, everybody has journeys, everybody has issues. And, again, we go around the room, everybody has issues maybe similar to mine or even more traumatic than mine that they had to deal with. But that's the life's journey. And then once we begin to respect each other as people and we know that, then we can come together and we can, again, all go on this journey together and have the right mindset in spite of the fact that we have issues. Because again, those are obstacles. If we overcome the obstacles on the way to the goal.
And in a way, I'm not sure if this is the right word to really use, but in a way I have to say is I appreciate the fact that you have worked with clients with disabilities because I have looked into taking self-defense classes where I lived before, and they all said you don't take disabled students. Same thing with dance. My mom tried to get me into ballet as a form of therapy when I was little because I used a walker at the time. They wouldn't take me.
Yeah, I know that's unfortunate. That's why I did. Like I said, I had kids in wheelchairs. I had adults with multiple sclerosis. Yeah, and it takes accommodations, and so a lot of times schools and companies don't want to make the accommodations. But to me, that's limiting. I got so much satisfaction from working with people, and the other students got a whole lot of compassion, and they saw the amount of energy and ability this person put in. It gave them a whole new appreciation for their abilities to move around freely. So yeah, I agree. It's unfortunate that a lot of businesses are like, nah, we're not gonna make the effort.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your question, Addie.
Cool.
Due to the sake of time, we're definitely going to close. I would definitely want to give a special thanks to Richard here for coming on board and speaking with us. One day I'd like to actually become a student of yours in the CEO Dojo. Definitely see how that goes in the future. Also thank you to everyone else who came on board today. We probably had some busy schedules today, and so it's appreciated that everyone hops in and can go ahead and, pay respects to the speakers by being here and also investing in yourself. That's like Richard said, you be you, Is that how it went, Richard?
Be you for you.
Be you for you. Awesome. Thank you so much. And just really fast, I like to have a little couple things to say, and I'll go ahead and close after that.
Well, let me jump off. I got to go. So just let me say thank you real quick. Thanks for having me, and appreciate everybody. And like I said, reach out to me. So if you have a follow-up question, do not hesitate. Reach out to me. You can just message me, and I'll get back to you. So it's been a pleasure, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing night.
Oh, Angel, can you drop his info in the chat?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put his email down.
All right.
Let's see. I have to go ahead and look for that for you guys. Cool. Yeah, go ahead and take it away.
So, yeah. Awesome. So, great to have you guys all here. I would love it if you guys would be able to actually click on the survey to get feedback. We put it on the chat. I know Angel's going to add on to the chat where it's going to be the email of Richard. But any feedback, if you could click on the chat and get on the Google form, just takes a good 2-3 minutes. And that would help us a lot. If you're unable to do that and you would still like us to contact you, we do have an email list as well. So if you don't want to fill out the whole form, if you can't do that, you could also just directly send the chat, and I think Emmanuel will put you down on the email list. All right.
Awesome. So I did add his Instagram for you guys on the chat. If you guys want to go ahead and follow Richard Gordon. And I'll go ahead and grab his email for all of y'all as well.
I wonder if he has like some type of karate in his Instagram,
And out of respect for everyone's time, if anyone would like to, at the moment, be free to leave. We're just gonna say a few things before closing.
Yeah. Angel, can I take a little bit of time to ask how their experience were? Like, I just kind of.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Is that cool with you guys? Let me. I just want to kind of like know how you guys liked it. I guess I'll start off. Let's see, Denzel, like, can you tell me a little bit about like how you liked it? You still on, Denzel?
Yeah, sorry about that. come to EOLs a lot often, but this one specifically has definitely gave me a different perspective. And Gordon himself was a great speaker. I was able to get a lot of insight from the question that he was able to answer for me, and it was definitely a great experience.
Nice.
Amazing.
Cool. Awesome. What about Cruz? How did you like it, man?
Bro, this was like, I mean, all sessions have been pretty dope, but this one, I was looking forward to it, and it was because of the series, you know? So it was like,
Yeah.
everything that I've learned, but then when I started hearing him say whatever he was saying, I was like, oh my God, dude, I straight out learned that, like, in the series, like, it started making me think, you know? So for me, like, it's definitely, like, up there, you know, like, on my top favorites. And it was really cool. Like, it was really engaging. Lots of valuable life, real skills, you know, that you could use. And it makes you think about, like, you know, wanting to take karate, you know, and because, yeah, I do it because although, yeah, it helps you to fight, but also it makes you learn how to use your mind, you know, like, and it's like how he says, you know, like, you have the abilities, but you have to know how to use them, you know, because you can have all the knowledge, but if you don't know how to use them, like, that knowledge is basically nothing, you know. So this was pretty dope. I really loved it. You know, definitely gonna give you a good rating in Yelp, you know. So it's up there, man. I really like it. I enjoyed it, you know. And thank you for Angel always bringing great speakers to us. And yeah,
It's actually the team that works hard together to get the speakers.
Congratulations to the team. You know, it's not just one person. It's a whole team. Manuel, you know, everybody, you know, congratulations. And I know that Evolution is going to grow, and it's growing, you know, each day. So I really hope, you know, hope for the best for all of us.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Yo, Fernie, I haven't seen you for a minute. How's it going?
It's going great.
Oh, man. Awesome. How'd you like it?
Honestly, I gotta say, it's my first EOL event, and
Yeah.
I really did enjoy it. Like, it gave me insights to like things like I never really thought about, and like Gordon, like I really like that he was pushing the mindset of doing it for you, not like doing it for somebody else. And like,
yeah,
I really like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Like, I really also like that, like, he wants you to focus on yourself. Like, don't do it for like other people. Focus on your own goal and like make the path that you want, not that others want. I really like that.
Awesome.
Sure. Awesome. Angel, you could take it off. I think you want to introduce the next Thursday event.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say, stay tuned in to Evolution Leadership Instagram and our social media. We'll be posting up the next Thursday, actually later on tonight. So stay tuned on for that, and be sure to, if you can make next Thursday, be sure to hop on. That'll be awesome to see you all here again. And also, tell your friends or anyone that you feel like would benefit from this information as well. Awesome. So thank you all for hopping on, and hope you all have a great night. And I'll go ahead and conclude the Zoom chat. If anyone has any questions about anything, feel free to DM the Evolution of Leadership Instagram chat. Any speakers that you probably even want for us to showcase, we can always see if we can reach out to them. So definitely do something like that. But awesome. All right, y'all. Hope you have a great night, and let's all just stay motivated through these tough times. Let's get it.
Amazing. Thank you all for your valuable time. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
Awesome. Great night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good
night, Benjamin.
Thank you.
Take care.